That's very, very, very generous. The MP for Bomet East.
Now I've been recognized and heard that I'm in this house. My people in Bomet have been complaining every weekend. I go home, they normally ask me, people are talking, and what have you been doing? You go and sleep there, we see you in the TV, and you're not contributing anything. Thank you very much. And I think I've now learned the game. Regarding this, the motion in place, Mr. Speaker, regarding the approval and appointment of cabinet secretaries, the Attorney General and Secretary to the Cabinet, I would like to go straight to the point of contention, that is Madam Penina Malonza, whereby the President had included her in the cabinet list. I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, some of us have come from corporate sectors whereby some people have been working there and you never hear them talking. This lady was a deputy governor. And what we need to ask ourselves is, Kitui County, did it perform during our time or it failed? Those are the pertinent questions which we need to be asking ourselves. There are some people who are trying to talk too much, but when it comes to service delivery, it is very difficult for them to articulate issues or to deliver. And I think Penina Malonza should not be left to the lynch mob. I want to say we should include her in the list of these cabinet secretaries who have been passed. The President nominating her has gone a long way, because we know where the lady comes from was not supporting the Kenya Kwanza government. And I want to say the President did well by trying to diversify and trying to unite the Kenyan nation by even appointing people from the areas which was perceived to be opposition to the government. And I find it very difficult and to understand the opposition members when they just come and start trying to oppose one of their own. We are trying to help you. This is a lady which is coming from the area whereby it was supporting your side. And we want to do this to try and unite this nation by even trying to bring people from those areas which is perceived not to have supported us. So the acumen, Mr. Speaker, I want to be protected from the people who are making noise from behind my back.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable Dwale.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order.
Mr. Speaker, as I complete.
Yes, what's your point of order, honorable member?
Mr. Speaker, is the honorable member in order to stand before the House and allege that it's the opposition members who are fighting their own members, while the committee, the whole committee adopted that Honorable Malonza is not fit to serve. Is the honorable member in order to mislead this House? It was a unanimous decision of the committee. So, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage him to read more about the recommendations of the committee.
Thank you very much. You have been heard, and I want to tell you, it is the House to decide. We are going to decide this in this House. And by virtue of that committee, let me tell you, it is an extension of this House. And I want to say, I want to give a very good example, Mr. Speaker. Personally, I've been working in the aviation industry. And if I can bring to this House what I learned from that sector, the transport sector. Kenya Airways Kenya Airways has been underperforming as compared to other carriers. And what you have seen as what the government of the then has been doing is trying to import some the so-called technocrats to come and manage or head our airline, of which they've never delivered. We need to emulate some other carriers or other countries which they've made their airlines to be very successful, and not try to import people and come and to come and lead our corporate sectors, and not changing anything and paying millions of money in terms of salaries. What I would like to say is, Malonza, Penina Malonza tried to express herself, but it looks very difficult, but that should not deter her from being given this position. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, let me say thank you very much. May God bless this House. Thank you.
MP for Lugari. MP for Lugari. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for affording me this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, being my maiden speech, I expect 10 minutes. I want, first of all, to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, for finding yourself on the Speaker's panel, and congratulate Senator Wetangula for being elected the Speaker of this House. I also want to take opportunity to congratulate my colleagues who are here with me for being voted in to be members of the 13th Parliament. I would like to congratulate my people of Lugari for giving me an opportunity to serve as their member of National Assembly. Equally, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate my party and the party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, for staying the course of change, for staying the course of democracy, for ensuring that this country is reaping the fruits of devolution. Mr. Speaker, whereas we are here celebrating democracy, I come from a constituency that has been discriminated. In 2008, the then President Mwai Kibaki laid a foundation to tarmac a road, C42, that comes from Tarbo to Sekhendu. To date, no single point of a kilometer has been tarmacked. I come from a constituency, Mr. Speaker, that in 1992, the then President Moi gave people land together with the people of Manzini, but the people of Lugari are still staying as squatters as that land has not been gazetted from the forest. That is how unfair this government has been to the people of Lugari. Mr. Speaker, looking at the list we have been provided with today of nominees, I first of all want to congratulate the committee. But I find fault in the following: that we have been provided with a list of nominees that goes contrary to the Constitution of Kenya. I cannot see a youth in that list. I cannot see a person with disability in that list. Mr. Speaker, if we become a house to rubber stamp things that we know constitutionally are wrong, history is going to charge us. Mr. Speaker, when I look at that list, and I'm looking at my fellow members of parliament of female gender, contributing here, supporting a name of a person who attempted to get carnal knowledge of a woman without her consent, I cry. Mr. Speaker, when I look at that list, Mr. Speaker, as I look at that list, And I see people glorifying a nominee simply because she came from a humble background.
What's your point
How
of
many
order?
of these people come from a humble background?
Order. This is the maiden speech of Honorable Nabi.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you,
And
Mr.
it shall be
Speaker.
heard in silence. Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
I proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable members, order, please. Honorable member, could you take your seat? Proceed, Honorable Nabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to comment on one Aisha Jumwa. Mr. Speaker, I've seen a copy of an affidavit of a poor woman, a poor Kenyan, whom the nominee grabbed the land, and here we are talking about, oh, she came from a humble background. What about that poor woman whose land has been taken? What do we do with that woman? Mr. Speaker, I'm pained today that this house is debating a list that has somebody with 35 cases. The question of integrity goes beyond being proven guilty or innocent. It is a question of conscience. It is a question of perception. Surely, what are we going to tell our children? That a person, when we had so many millions of Kenyans who didn't have cases, the best we could get is a person with 35 cases? I cry. I tell you that you voted for a person who is criminally conflicted. Mr. Speaker, that does not mean we don't have good people on that list. I support vehemently the nomination of one Murkomen, a legal mind, a man who understands what he really wants to do for this country, a man who demonstrated his vision of what the transport sector should be. That is what we want to see. I want to support when I see a lady like Wahome, somebody who can demonstrate what she's thinking about in terms of water. But can we say that of that one Malonza? My answer is no. If you cannot demonstrate the vision you have, then you do not know what you want to go and do. As a HR expert, I want to tell you this. The reason we have face-to-face interview is for you to tell us what you can do. If you can't demonstrate, you will not make other people do it. You don't know it. How will you make others do it? I want to urge my colleagues, a cabinet is beyond community. Because if we were to talk about our tribes, then I don't see a Tachoni there. Then I don't see an Ogiek there. It is about Kenya. So I'm urging our colleagues who are retreating to tribal cocoons to desist that. We are looking for a cabinet that will help the president deliver. All of us, on both sides, we agree that we want a working nation. We want a working country. We want an effective cabinet. So please, as we look at these names, we need to ask the question, if I looked at you in the eye, would you meet the Caesar's transports? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.